John Doherty is here. John, how you been?
Terrific. How are you, Jed?
I want to first congratulate you on a major milestone and that you have made it 40 years as a columnist with the Times. Way to go, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's partly thanks to you, because we thought we were going to be stopped at 39 and a half.
You know what? If by you saying that, the next person that has a problem is going to come up, hey, Jed, do you think you could talk to this person and see if you could move that around? Trust me. There is a little capital out there I can use, and I will use it for my good friend John Doherty, as it looked like his column was going to stop at 39 and a half. We had some rather terse conversations, and he is continuing on, and they're actually using your columns even more now in other areas and so forth. So congratulations.
Seems like it. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
So just remind people what you write about and tell us how it started.
I write about sports medicine once a week. 40 years ago, and I'm having lunch with him today, by the way, Paul Mullaney, the president of Bishop Knoll. Paul was the assistant sports editor at the Times 40 years ago. He and I had attended Notre Dame together. I graduated from physical therapy school and started working at the Hammond Clinic. And Paul knew that I could write. I had a background as a sports writer from my hometown. So in January, when I moved here, January '85, he started sending me out covering games, high school games in Illinois. And
which I wouldn't wish on anybody. I did that, by the way. So, anyways, go ahead.
It's May or June. He says, we used to have this column called Dr. Jock, and I thought it was pretty good, but it stopped a year ago. Do you think you could pick it back up and start writing a column on sports medicine? I don't know. Maybe I could. Maybe I couldn't. So we continued to talk, and I said, okay, I think I can do it, but I'll probably run out of ideas in about 2 years. He said, well, let's give it a try. So my first column ran in August of '85. It's been going ever since.
What date?
August 6th, August 7th, something like that. And it just every week ever since.
Didn't
run out of ideas.
I would have never predicted, that you could do that long, and I read it religiously like a lot of people do. Part of it is it's just you, and if somebody's ever seen you for physical therapy or anything like that, they're like, oh, I'll read this thing. But the paper has really declined in terms of print. Certainly the digital, that I imagine most of people read your thing digitally. But that is a major accomplishment, just to go 40 years. And we didn't think you were going to get there. And I just can't.
I didn't think I was going to. Seriously, I thought 2 years I'll run out of stuff to write about. There's still stuff out there. There's more for me to write about than there's space. So.
Oh, there's way more.
Yeah.
And you came out with one. Well, let's just talk about a couple of recent ones. And if you have any questions in that field, or you want to congratulate John Doherty, you can do it right now, because Chancellor Holford just walked in. That means PNW is today. Today is today, so we will end on time. Typically, I don't mind stretching it if it's like, sports with Rick Costello. But when Chancellor Holford, my landlord, comes in, I got to say, let's do this on time.
Absolutely.
What exactly is a knowledge to practice gap?
It's a shocking thing. It was actually kind of triggered by something I wrote for another publication, an athletic training publication, just in the last month. The knowledge to practice gap is research determines that something is the best way to, you have a new treatment thanks to research, or you have a new technique thanks to new equipment in medicine. And you would think as soon as people find out about it, it would spread across the country. Well, it spreads across the country pretty slowly. It takes 17 years on average, from the time something is discovered, be it a cure, a medication, a new technique. On average in medicine, it takes 17 years from the time it is discovered to the time it becomes regular practice in medicine nationwide.
So let's look at the concussion thing, because if you're in, athletic directors going to school, they should have been there a long time ago. But if you're an athletic director and you're going to school right now and you think of John Doherty, you think of concussions. I mean, that's what you kind of made your name on. And I tell the story of about, I would say it was about 15, whenever you left private practice and went with community and now it's
thought I was
Powers.
nuts.
And I told you, I go, man, I don't know what you were treating for me. I had all sorts of maladies. And I'm like, why would you do that, man? I mean, you have a thriving practice here. And I remember you said, hey, you know what? You're very passionate about concussions and the dangers, and that you thought you could make a dent in getting education out there and treatment. Have you done that?
I think I have, yeah. All the schools in Northwest Indiana have some kind of almost all the schools have some kind of baseline concussion testing program. There are a number of concussion clinics in Northwest Indiana, not the least of which is ours at Community, which I have no doubt is the best. And that concussion clinic is busy. Now, the funny thing is, our concussion clinic at Community, we see lots and lots of athletes. We see way more non-athletes. When we started, it was all athletes, and now it's all sorts of concussions, which is really the way it should have been anyway. So
we're going into two of the highest concussion sports right now.
Right.
You don't realize it, but soccer is very high on that list also, if not at the top at times. And of course,
girls soccer in particular really rivals football.
Why?
The girls have weaker necks than the guys.
Really?
Yeah.
So heading the ball, two people
it's
going.
It's heading the ball and two people going for a ball and colliding head to head.
And then you have football going on right now.
Right.
So we're doing 9 games tomorrow.
Right.
Believe it or not, I don't know how this happened, but it went.
That's great.
Last year, I think we had 3 on the first Friday, and now we got 9. Part of that is partnerships with Regional Radio Sports Network and Paul Condry, who is another legend in the field. And I called him yesterday to talk I had like 2 or 3 minutes to talk, and it took 32 or 33 minutes because he can't stop talking about football and how excited he is. Kind of like you can't stop talking about certain issues like concussions and knee injuries and stuff. But we're going into that season, and I'll be here on Friday, but sometimes I'll walk the sidelines and so forth. And it seems like when someone takes a big hit and they come over, the first thing is the especially if it's like the star running back or the linebacker or whatever, the coach is like, just on edge, like, oh my gosh, is this a concussion? Let's do the testing. But behind their back, they're crossing their fingers that's not the case.
That's not what it is, right?
And I'm not saying that people fudge the numbers, but certainly people are wary of having the doctor coming over and pulling your guy out.
The thing that I learned on the sideline my last 15 years, probably longer, was the kid who was trying to avoid me after he came off the field, clearly there was something wrong. If a kid was trying to get away from me, then I knew it was a kid I had to go after. Because usually kids come off the field and they come right up to you and they're happy with how a play went. Kid comes off the field and wants no part of the athletic training, then something's up.
So if they come running off the field and they see you standing there and then they veer to the right to get 20 players down from you, then it's like, hey, get over here, Jeremy.
Red flag.
We're going to talk here. Yeah. We're going to do the test. What is the test?
Well, it's something that takes time. Sometimes it doesn't take any time. If a kid's standing there woozy and he can't get his eyes straight and he's staggered, then it takes 10 seconds. That kid has a concussion. Now, another kid who took a big hit and got up slow, but he gets to the sideline now and he says he's perfectly fine and there was nothing wrong. But you still have a suspicion. That sideline test takes 10 to 15 minutes, where you're going through a symptom checklist, you're checking how his eyes work, you're checking his balance, all those tests. Then you do some exertional tests. All those things take time. And it takes 10 to 15 minutes to do a proper sideline test to be relatively confident that they have not had a concussion. Having said that, I've done it on the sideline, and the next day the kids come to me and said, the next day I've got a miserable headache. And now in fact, your suspicion was correct.
So there's two different interests here. I mean, your main interest is do no harm, and let's make sure that the kid's okay and that there isn't any sort of brain injury. And then you have the head coach who wants to win the game.
Right.
Those are competing interests.
They can be.
And have we raised awareness about the long-term effects of concussions enough to manage that dichotomy of interests?
No, and I don't think we ever will.
Well, what does that mean?
There will always be the motivation on the part of coaches and players to continue playing and not have to come off the field. They want to win. And coaches want to win, players want to win, and players don't want to lose their job. So that's the issue. And I would say 4 out of 5 concussions that occur in a game or practice, we generally never find out about. The kid, if the symptoms are relatively minor and they clear very quickly, the athlete, whether it's a high school kid or a college player or a pro, they don't say a word.
One other column you wrote was about Ryan Sandberg, outstanding. You talked about cancer. Obviously just about anybody who's listening has had some sort of cancer in their family, but it was pretty simple. I think the title might have been Ryan Sandberg, Cancer Does Not Discriminate. Why did you write that column?
Because of really what happened with him. There's a guy who seemed perfectly healthy and gets prostate cancer, and I think a lot of people out there assume prostate cancer it's not like lung cancer, it's not going to kill you. Well, that's true if you're an 80-year-old. If you're an 80-year-old and you get prostate cancer, you'll die with prostate cancer, you won't die from it. But when you're a 60-year-old and you get prostate cancer, it can be, and your body's producing a good amount of testosterone still, and that's what prostate cancer feeds on. It can kill you relatively quickly, and that's what happened with Sandberg.
That is counterintuitive, like much of baseball.
Yeah.
Other than the only thing that's not counterintuitive in baseball, I think Shambi said it yesterday, is that the harder you throw it, the harder it is to hit. Other than that, there's all sorts of things that work backwards. The average person would say, hey, you're 80 years old and you get prostate cancer, you're probably going to die from it. No. But that's not the case.
Yeah, it's as Dr. Wilkes in my column said, prostate cancer in an 80-year-old is a toothless tiger. You need to address it, but you don't need to worry about it a whole lot.
He's John Doherty, 40 years writing for the Times and going strong and coming on here and discussing some issues in sports medicine. If you're catching this later, this was recorded on August 21st of 2025. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me. I want to say one more thing. Please pay attention to my column this week. Guardian caps do not work. Those helmet add-ons. The NFL released a study. They did it very quietly. There was no press release. And their own study showed, despite what they thought, the Guardian caps don't prevent concussion.
Oh, that is so odd because you're watching all of this exhibition and practices.
They all have them on.
They all have them on.
And the NFL has been saying, well, since we started wearing Guardian caps, concussions have gone down 50% in practice. They may have gone down 50% in practice, but their own study that they released on July 2nd with no press releases, no announcement, showed that the Guardian cap isn't the reason concussions have gone down in practice. They've gone down in practice because they don't hit as much.